Welcome to Audio Gyan with Kedar Nimkar, a podcast that documents insightful conversations with Indian designers, artists, musicians, writers, thinkers and creatives of all types. Catch us on iTunes or visit audiogyan.com for more Gyan sessions. Here's your host Kedar Nimkar.
Today we have Dhanashree Pandit Rai with us on Audio Gyan. Dhanashree holds a master's degree in Hindustani Classical music from University of Bombay. She has trained under the stalwart of Kirana Gharana, Pandit Firoz Dastur and the Thumri legend Shobha Gurtu. She has also received valuable guidance in Thumri from Begum, Afroz, Bano and Batuk Dewanji. She is a recipient of the prestigious SUR MANI award from Sur Singar Samsad. Dhanashree is one of the leading exponents of Thumri form of music, and her repertoire besides khayal consists of Thumri, chaiti, hori, kajri, sawan, jhoola and more. She has been associated with jazz musicians and have been giving training to Indian music to several world-renowned jazz artists. Most of us must have heard her in TED Talks and other places where she familiarizes with Raag Sangit and how to identify Raag in the new and old age songs. So thank you, Dhanashree ji, for giving us your time, and it's a real honor to have you on Audio Gyan.
My pleasure, Kedar.
Yeah. So today we'll deep dive into Thumri and try and understand some bits of its history and know how wide the canvas is.
Sure.
So the first thing, we can set the context by you telling us what is Thumri and how did it emerge.
Good, Kedar. Can I paint a little picture for you?
Sure.
Let's imagine we are sitting in the court of Wajid Ali Shah.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the beginning of the 19th century.
Okay.
We're in his court.
Mm-hmm.
And Wajid Ali Shah, if you know, was a patron of the arts.
Mm-hmm.
He himself, besides the fact that he was an administrator, which he didn't really enjoy, he was a Kathak dancer, he was a music composer, and he was a very, very talented Nawab.
Mm-hmm.
And he filled the courts with wise people. You know, there was Sanat Pia, Daras Pia, Lalan Pia, a lot of musicians. There was a kind of a musical renaissance.
Okay.
And of course, you know the Nawabi culture.
Mm-hmm.
Ayashi chal rahi thi.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was wine, women and song and other things going on. But what was the prevalent music of the times? It was khayal and dhrupat.
Correct, yeah.
But these fun-loving Nawabs said, we want a music that entertains, a music that sets the heart racing. And it was actually to fulfill this desire of theirs, to pander to the whims of the fun-loving Nawabs, that Thumri came into existence in the court of Wajid Ali Shah. Now, Thumri, if you analyze the word, Thum stands for the, ghungru ka awaz, the sound of the ghungrus, Thum. And Rijhana, to please. So Thumri started as an accompanying song to Kathak dance.
Okay.
And Thumri also comes from the word Thumakna, which is the gait of a woman, the delicate, swingy gait of the woman. So this is how Thumri first started in the court of Wajid Ali Shah.
But did he explain as to how it should be, or it was left to the artisans to explore this form?
Well, it started with Kathak dance. So there was a kind of a format, there was Bandish ki Thumri that started. Like it was like the Chhota Khayal, set to teen tal or ek tal.
Correct.
But sounded different because it had a lot of Shringar element to it.
Okay.
The poetry became more important. The rules of the rags, started to get relaxed. So, in fact, if you've seen the movie Shatranj Ke Khiladi, I think almost in the first few scenes, you see the court of Nawab, Wajid Ali Shah.
Oh, okay.
And there's a song, I can probably hum it for you.
Please.
To, show you.
Yeah.
So Bhairavi, काना मैं तो से हारी छोड़ो सारी, काना मैं तो से हारी हारी छोड़ो सारी, काना मैं तो से हारी छोड़ो सारी, सुनो बिहारी नाही तो मैं दूंगी गारी, काना मैं तो से हारी छोड़ो सारी. Now this is what we call a bandish ki thumri. So thumri is set to 3 tal. You might say, hey, this is a chota khayal. But no, it's slightly different.
Okay.
A lot of more shringar element and murkis and nazakat and
more
romantic touches. And of course Bandish ki thumris principally dealt with one theme, which was Radha Krishna on the Panghat.
Okay, more ornamentation around it. Yeah. Cool. So how did this Thumri sit in the overall scheme of Hindustani classical music? Or
how does Thumri figure in this?
Yeah.
Well, Thumri, according to the way musicologists have classified it, comes under semi-classical music.
Yeah.
Though although it is extremely classical, in nature, the title given to it is Upashastriya or semi-classical.
Okay.
And to tell you the truth, khayal singers are wary of singing this form unless they've specially trained in it. There might be many khayaliyas, who if you ask them to sing a thumri, they'll say no. And not because they don't want to or they don't respect it, but because they are not sure they can give it the color it needs. So it is a complex form.
Okay.
It's not, even though it's called semi, that does not make it in any way, more easy or less important than khayal or, so it is a highly classical form, but unfortunately the title of, it's very often pushed into the light classical or semi-classical bracket, though, as I said, hardcore khayaliyas are wary of singing it.
Are very particular about giving justice to that form.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, you do see khayal singers singing it, with a lot of variety and imagination. But what is important is in Thumri is color. They say, Thumri ka rang hona chahiye. You often hear that in... Yeah, what that is... That is where I would say it is heavily classical, though classified in the semi-classical bracket.
Cool. So this is like a next question is actually very close to what you said just now and has been my personal curiosity. That when this Thumri form was evolving or emerging or people were experimenting with it, did it face any problems being it semi-classical or maybe this was promoted by the king himself? So did it face any opposition or how was it received?
At the time, courtesans were the ones singing it and tawaifs. So it was doing very well in the salons of the courtesans and in the darbar. There was no problem. But today, its acceptance or its popularity may stem from the fact that it was associated with some tawaif culture. And I did bring something, written about it for you today, about when the British came and Thumri was going on. So I'm going to read that out to you, that with the coming of the British, an anti-Nach movement started and all women living as courtesans were asked to leave the city. The Victorian moral values that the British brought with them ended the courtesan culture of Lucknow. So many of them were pushed to the red light areas. And so that could have impacted its popularity. But by that time, Thumri had already moved from kothas to the concert stage, because very talented singers of Banaras, Siddheshwari Devi, Rasulan Bai, all of them had brought Thumri to such a height that it was no longer associated with being a song of seduction. It was a full-fledged well-respected aesthetic music form of its own.
Mm-hmm. So, did it face any challenge when what was going on among the musician society when it was pushed back by the Britishers? You have any glimpses?
As I said, it had reached the concert stage already by that time. So all these artists I'm talking of are highly respected artists. Yeah.
Were these artists who took Thumri to a different level,
Right.
how were they received among, say, like Amir Khan or like different who were like probably hardcore classical or much more into Hindustani classical?
They were extremely. I think most of them were singing khayal also.
Mm-hmm.
So they were singing khayal also, and yet Thumri was their specialty. So Thumri now may be facing some of the challenges that you're talking about. I do not think at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you try to judge it about how is it faring next to khayal, so Thumri is definitely not faring as well as it should, and there could be several reasons for that.
Yeah. Cool. The next one is most of the Thumris are in Avdi, Bhojpuri,
Right.
Mirzapuri. Like why are these in these?
Yeah,
limited?
that's a good question, because normally one would expect, coming from Lucknow and why is the language not Hindi or Urdu? Why are these dialects? So actually the main dialect you'll find is Brij Bhasha.
Okay.
Most of the Thumris are in Brij Bhasha, but occasionally you also find Bhojpuri or Awadhi. So why Brij Bhasha is the question. Yeah, why?
Yeah.
So I would say that, this is what I have been reading about it, that Brij Bhasha has a lot of vowels and it's a little more friendly on the ear. It's a sweeter sounding language, and it was the main language of the Mathura, Agra Mathura region.
Okay.
So even the Krishna cult and all that, took birth there. So
it's more.
First of all, its friendliness, with the to the ear. It's a more sweet sounding language, and the Krishna cult and all had compositions in that language. So Brij Bhasha was chosen over the other dialects. Khadi Boli, Avdi. But for example, Bhojpuri we find. Just going to hum for you a Bara Masa in Bhojpuri.
Okay.
So see how that language is. Nai jhulni ki chhaiya balam dup hariya bitayla balam dup hariya bitayla dup hariya bitayla balam dup hariya bitayla balam dup hariya bitayla. Now this is your Bhojpuri language. Whereas in Awadhi also, for example, Hamar kahi mano Raja ji ho hamar kahi mano Raja ji hamar kahi mano Raja ji hamar. This is Awadhi. And the rest, of course, most of them are just in Brij Bhasha. Yeah.
So, have people experimented with new bandishes or new language and using Thumri in new languages?
That's probably not, because if in Bollywood, of course, now in Hindi films, you see a lot of adaptation of Thumri, so they would use a little more Hindi.
Hamari Atariya pe.
Yeah, Hamari Atariya was taken in De Rishkiya. Then I think in Jab We Met they had Aoge Jab Tumo Sajna. So you might find the Brij Bhasha for a while, and then in the Antaras and all, Hindi coming in. Naina tere kajra re hai, neno, for.
Correct. Yeah.
So then because it has to reach out to the people, so it would still have the Thumri feel.
Okay.
In the tune and the rag and the nuances, but Hindi would come in. Even in Sardari Begum, there was a very beautiful one. I'll just sing for you.
Yeah, please.
Savariya dekh zara is or, Savariya Now this sounds completely Thumri-ish. But then in the Antara, the lyrics would be little Hindi. तूने है बांधा ऐसे धागे से मुझको टूटे ना ये डोर सवरिया देख जरा इस ओर. So just an example. Thumri is coming into film songs now. And that's a good
sign. Yeah.
That's a good sign, and that's a good way of it keeping alive. Yeah.
So.
But you were asking me about the words or the language.
Yeah, these were more towards words. I wanted to understand overall language. Have people like gone into, say, some parts of Rajasthan and like
because the Mand has been taken in Thumri. Yes, you would find Rajasthani touches like in Kesariya Balam, which is in the Thumri repertoire now, though it's a folk song of Rajasthan. Kesariya Balam is kind of been integrated. So you can give it a very Thumri-ish feel. And even my Guru Shobha Gurtu sang a couple of Rajasthani songs which have become popular on the net, and
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Actually, this one you can like go as much deep as you want into this. Like, how does one particular format ceases to evolve? So this, I'll set the context here. Like when as we started with the king gave the artisans some room for exploration and brought in that. Now there are certain notes which in a particular order will form a rag, but if you introduce something new, it may be called as something else, but not that one. Similarly, Thumri must be having a framework.
Yeah.
Now, in this framework, if something is introduced, it no longer becomes a Thumri, or it like transforms itself into another form. Now, who and how did this framework evolve, or how did this framework become, and then labeled as Thumri?
Okay, so who defined that form?
Yeah.
So you will never find these kind of names in history, whether it is, you know.
Yeah.
So these were some of the ustads in the courts who trained the courtesans, and probably along with, like we have Bindadin Maharaj, the famous Pandit Bindadin Maharaj, who composed many of the Kathak Thumris. You know, so people of his time he was in the court of Wajid Ali Shah.
Okay.
So these are the kind of maestros, some whose names you know. There are many of them had pen names, you know. So they're originally different names. So they were the ones who taught the courtesans, you know, and trained them.
No, but then this format, suppose a particular artist who's probably Shobha Gurtu or Begum Akhtar, who have created certain milestones in the overall art form. Now, if a particular artist wants to develop on that form, like say for example khayal also, someone must have experimented with chota khayal and then bada khayal. Similarly, Thumri, was it being evolved? Is it being evolved? Are people trying to?
Well, I can speak about Shobha Gurtu, who did make a few changes to the original Thumri format. For example, she would launch out into other rags. If the Thumri is set in Khamaj, she would use Kalavati at a point over there, very skillfully weave in different rags. That was her personal contribution. You know, so that way it evolves. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I think these were few questions. Obviously, there's a lot more to talk about music, and you have anything to say about overall in Thumri or anything?
Yes, I think, what is to be talked about in Thumri is what is this Thumri ka rang? Why is it that everybody doesn't take to it or cannot sing Thumri or is wary of singing Thumri? What is this? How do you define what you call the Thumri ang, or what is the style defined by? So I've written out a few points which, you know, I can talk to you about. I mean, of course, these are kind of points for a master class in Thumri. If some students were learning the form. Or I would call them requirements for Thumri singing. Can I call it that?
Yeah, sure.
So first of all, a thorough knowledge of khayal. Because you can't suddenly start learning Thumri unless you've done your basic classical training. So that's
number one. Yeah,
that's number one, knowledge of khayal.
Yeah.
And second is the mijaz or nazakat, as you say. You need a certain stylized way of singing if you were to give that Thumri feel. Because you know where it started from. It was from the courtesan culture. It was a song of seduction. So it cannot be sung in the body language of a khayal artist, who closes his eyes and goes into a meditative mode. This is not the Thumri mode. So that's why some people have it in them to do Thumri if their personality allows for it. Now, I'm just trying to hum a few for you. So, like for example, Humri atariya pe आजा रे बलमवा देखा देखी तनिक हुई जाए. Now while I'm singing for you, I'm doing a little bit of gesticulation. Because without that, it would not have. Or if you're, a naika who's adorning herself. आज मैं सजूंगी गुइया हाँ बहुत जतन से आज मैं सजूं. So these kind of, I would call it mijaz or nazakat is the word. You sing it with that kind of gait and style. Teri katili nigaahon ne mara, teri katili. All this is the kind of personality. Then voice quality. This is a question often asked by aspiring Thumri singers. Is there some way you have to modulate your voice, or will my voice be okay for
will suit
the form? So for that my answer was, I'm thinking of the way I did it. For example, I came of course from a khayal background, MA in khayal music, and khayal shows you a certain way of projecting the voice, open and clear and open. And then I said no, but the Thumri singers are having a certain flavor to their voice, which is giving feeling, and so I felt that voice has to be slightly developed. For the way I say it is when a naika is overcome by sorrow, because the main theme of Thumri is pangs of sorrow. That is lies at the core of Thumri. So how do you get that pang of sorrow in your voice? So I say that when a woman or a naika is overcome with sorrow and she's trying to hold back her tears, there's a certain tightness that comes in the throat.
Wow, that's
and
intense.
If you try to sing with that, I'm just going to give you an example. For Thumri, I really like. You must have heard this, of course, sung a lot by Hira Devi Mishra. She made this Thumri very famous. Aja Samariya Tohe Garwa Lagadun. One more time. Aja Samariya Tohe Garwa रस के भरे तोरे ने. Now if you sing it in a khayal, आजा सवरिया तोहे गरबा लगा दूं. This is the khayal. आजा सवरिया तोहे this kind of, getting the dard in the voice.
It's tough to articulate also.
Yeah, because coming from a khayal background, you would just sing it in a straightaway open voice. So voice quality has to be, sort of geared for this form. Pronunciations. Now, for example, coming from a Maharashtrian background, our language is very clear at the last syllable. If I was singing sawan ki ritu, I would pronounce it with the Maharashtrian kind of savan ki ritu airi sajaniya. I would elongate and I wouldn't get the correct color until somebody from the north corrected me. Savan ki ritu airi sajaniya pritam ghar nahi aaye. Yeah, so that cutting short, that elongation of the last syllable was something I had to work on, and then the colors started coming. And of course, lot of heavy murki work in Thumri, as you know. Murki work is heavy. I'm trying to find an example for you. Hori khelan kaise jaun jaun ri guiya guiya. These typical murkis of Thumri, which you say bhari murkis, little heavy, not like in the light form.
I've heard yours, hori mein khelungi.
Yeah.
That's also very brilliant.
Hori mein khelungi un sang datke, that one.
Yes. It's like, I just keep listening to it.
Oh, you like
the time.
it,
Yeah.
So these are just some of the points for how to get that Thumri color into your singing. Yeah.
Cool. I think obviously there's tons of things to be spoken about, and I would like to come up with more advanced questions maybe.
Sure. Yeah, that would be for, actual students of music and a masterclass, but to give people a brief idea of this form, they should be fine.
Cool. So it was I think, good note to end this. It was brilliant talking to you, and great to hear your voice in person this.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good. Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Okay. So that's it. Thank you.
And that's it from today's Gyan session. Catch us on iTunes, Sawan, Stitcher or any podcasting app you use. Do rate us on iTunes and follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Stay tuned for more Gyan on audiogyan.com. Till then, bye.